Hey, welcome everyone to a little bit different edition of the Nonprofit Architect Podcast. Today we're talking about 2021, the year in review. We have accomplished and done so much in 2021. I wanted to put everything together in a single episode so you can hear about all the great things that have happened in 2021 for not only me personally, but also the show and a little bit of what's coming up in 2022. I'm so excited to tell you about this today. I can't wait to dive in. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I wanted to start off this year with a little bit of gratitude. It is just absolutely amazing what we have done in the past year. If we looked at just the numbers, and this is all thanks to our listeners out there, at the end of 2020, we had like 7,800 total downloads, and we're at the end of 2021 and we're eclipsed 38,000 total downloads. That means that there was like 31,000 downloads in the past year, which is more than 4x growth, which is just absolutely amazing. We did things a little bit differently. We did, in addition to our weekly show that comes out every Tuesday, we launched a promo or an audiogram officially as a podcast every Friday and helped our download numbers incredibly well. We did 52 weeks and 52 different guests. So excited. We're going to tell you the top 10 for 2021 here in just a little bit. We had migrated everything over to nonprofitarchitect.org and launched the nonprofit podcast network. I'm happy to say that over the last year, we have grown to 15 total nonprofit shows. I wanted to create kind of this hub of resources that allows everyone to find the best nonprofit related shows. Hop on over to nonprofitarchitect.org. And at the top, you can see the Nonprofit Podcast Network. But check out the great shows that we have listed. We've got Nonprofit Vision with Gregory Nielsen, the influential nonprofit with Marianne Dersh, Hubcast led by Katie Appold. We, of course, have the Nonprofit Architect Podcast hosted by yours truly, the official Do Good Better podcast with Patrick Kirby, the Nonprofit Power Hour with Jamila Kemp, Grant Writing Simplified with Teresa Huff, our friend Kev Kayat at the Nonprofit Problem Solver. He's over in the UK. We've got a modern nonprofit podcast. Who's running that one? That is hosted by our friend Tasha Anderson, who puts together a great show. We've got Events Demystified with Anka Treefan, Black America Cares, the nonprofit showcase podcast, Auction Frogs, Frog Talk, Leap into Fundraising podcast. That's quite a fun show. Check that out with Christy Sauserman. We've got some new shows. We've got the Nonprofit Founders Club with Alicia Mathis, Mission Impact with Carol Hamilton, and the Nonprofit Fundraising podcast hosted by Butterfly Lee and Jeff Kelly. Those are the great nonprofit shows we have at the Nonprofit Podcast Network. We also added the Veteran Podcast Network, and we've got over 43 veteran hosted shows or veteran related shows. I'm not going to go ahead and list all of those, but we had the honor this year to create with Shane Cunningham from Broken Jarhead, the Veteran Podcast Awards. He said, I bought this URL, veteranpodcastawards.com. What should we do with it? And I said, well, you should launch it and I should host it. And that's exactly what we did. October 5th, 2021. He created it as National Military Podcast Day, and we hosted the first annual Veteran Podcast Awards. And if you check out the Veteran Podcast Network, you're going to see that we have a bunch of nominees and winners from the Veteran Podcast Awards available for you to listen to at the Veteran Podcast Network, which is just so exciting. Last year, about this time, I had someone reach out to me and they were looking for some podcasting tips. And I had downloaded some podcasting guides and some different things and discovered that I really didn't like what was available. And my friends challenged me to write something different. They said, if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're this business type guy, what are you doing to help other podcasters in the arena? I said, well, I'm not really sure. And they're like, well, if you don't like the guides that you've been getting, why don't you write a better one? So I did. I took out 5 weeks and wrote the ultimate and complete podcast guide. We had it available for $27, and we initially launched it with like 30 or so pages of content and material. Over the years, I've been taking feedback and rewriting sections and explaining things. And now we are in version like 6.0. It's 53 pages of how to, why, how to get started. Why should I do podcasting? What are podcasting hosts? What are podcasting apps or podcatchers? How can I actually create the story that I want to showcase, create my brand, create my business? How do I market this thing? And how do I monetize? We put this all together, and we have a whole host of templates in the back, from podcast sharing to creating your calendar and your Calendly, how to do all these things and how to contact celebrities. What this is idea to launch to monetization to increasing our downloads, all within one guide. From that, we took out the 15 reasons to start your own show, which is available for download as just a freebie. It says $1, but there's a code, free 99. If you miss the code, you're out a whole buck. It's not the end of the world, but that's included in the Ultimate Podcast Guide. We had such a great response, and a lot of amazing people downloaded it, including Richard Kaufman, who relaunched and rebranded his podcast to Vertical Momentum and now has over 150,000 downloads in less than a year, which is just absolutely fantastic. Congratulations, Richard, on your success. I know you give a lot of credit to the guide, and I'm happy that you do, but you had to do the work, brother. You had to put it in. You had to get those things implemented, launch it, rebrand, and actually continue on with the dedication of posting all the time. So congrats to you. Hats off to you, Richard. People started asking for the course for this thing, so I contacted Dr. Julie Ducharme at Synergy Learning Institute. Thank you for Stephen Kuhn for directing me to Julie. We've been building the Ultimate Podcast course, and it is complete. And we are currently running it through the accreditation process at Forbes Business School at the University of Arizona, which is super exciting. It looks like I'm going to have the first podcasting course available at the university level that was actually created by someone that's doing professional podcasting, which I think we put together a pretty good show. Looking forward to that in 2022 for that to be available. If you're at a college right now and you don't have a podcasting course available, whether it's business, entrepreneurship, marketing, journalism, communications, or what have you, if there's not a podcast course available to you, send me an email, nonprofitarchitect@gmail.com, and I can try to get this thing loaded into your university. Once it's regionally accredited through Forbes at the University of Arizona, it should be easy to get it implemented into your university so you can actually get college credit for taking a podcasting course, which is just really cool. Really excited about that. 2021 was definitely a year for speaking. I was fortunate enough to be a guest at 6 different conferences, guest speaker at 6 conferences, and actually a guest on 44 podcasts throughout the year. If you go to nonprofitarchitect.org and you go to the guest appearance tab, I have all of the interviews I've conducted throughout the year with me being a guest on all these shows available for you to watch and check out what all the other great podcasters are doing out there. But I got to speak at Podno 2021 as a panelist. Thank you, Bruce Chamhoff. Bruce runs the NYC Podcast Network, which I was fortunate enough to be included on in last February. Got a huge increase in download numbers. Go to nycpodcastnetwork.com. Check out what Bruce is building over there. It's wonderful. Get your show added. It's free to get added. I was honored to be a guest at a webinar. Thank you, Katie Apple, for having me on as a guest there. We had the Donor Attraction Forum put on by Marianne Dersh, who runs the influential nonprofit. Thank you, Marianne, for having me as a speaker. I got an interesting one. I got a reach out from one of my LinkedIn contacts, Mike Ademo, and he's from Nigeria. He brought me on as a guest lecturer for his event in Nigeria on WhatsApp called Teach the Teacher. Really cool event. So glad that I got to be part of that. Thank you, Mike, for having me as a guest. I also was invited by Keith Reynolds to speak at the Synapse Hub. And if you haven't checked out that group on LinkedIn, I think you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. These are businesses and nonprofits that are really connecting and figuring out a way to create benefit for all involved. It's a great arena there on LinkedIn. Everyone check that out. And then I was really excited to share kind of my story of growing up as a kid with a parent that had mental health problems. I got to speak at the mental health summit put on by Ryan Hunt and Panda Media at the Veteran Social Summit. It was very awesome. Thank you for including me in that. And I actually reused that audio to be a guest on another podcast, which you can find in my guest appearances tab. Also, I'd like to give a big shout out to Jeff Riley for putting together this great metal sign behind me. It lights up. It's got the nonprofitarchitect.org for those of you that are not watching this, that are actually just listening as a podcast episode. Thank you, Jeff Riley at Incognito Metalworks. And thank you so much to Ginger and David at reallydesigns.biz for putting together this fantastic poker chip with my contact info on it. I use it as my business card everywhere I go. I tell you what, people look at that poker chip longer than they've ever looked at anyone else's business card in their entire life. And then since I've got the hat on, this wasn't a 2021 thing, but thank you, JD Tierney at Southpaw Laser Concepts, for putting together this fantastic hat for me. Oh, so much stuff. So excited. So glad and full of gratitude that we've been able to do all of those things this past year. I wanted to give a shout out to some of the legendary guests that we had this year. Bob Berg, author of the Go Giver series. They've got more than 3 million book sales on the Go Giver. The Go Giver Sells More, the Go Giver Influencer. Check out all his great books, I think, at bobberg.com. Was very honored to have Steve Sims on as a guest. Steve Sims is the author of The Art of Blue Fishing. He puts together world-class events for millionaires and billionaires, including Sir Elton John's Oscar red carpet party each and every year. And he also does speakeasies. Check out Steve Sims, stevesims.com. And then another titan in the industry. Thank you, Roman Roberts, for this introduction. I got to interview Alan Stein Jr. Alan Stein Jr. is huge in the basketball world. He got to run youth camps for Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and he uses all these lessons learned throughout basketball. And he's got a fantastic book, How to Raise Your Game, and it's perspective of the player, the coach, and the team. And check out all these great interviews, nonprofitarchitect.org. If you hit the blog button, you can scroll down to their picture, check out a little bit about the back end. You can listen to the episode there. You can watch the episode on the YouTube. Some of these have the transcript. I'm working on getting all the transcripts built out using transcripts by Romeo. This is Juan Garcia's son. Juan is Sergeant G at the Stone Vet USMC, one of our podcasts of the year. I think he was the Marine Corps podcast of the year. And he's also in with me at the Podcast Architect, where we have aspiring and established podcasters coming together every week and talking about how it is that they do their show, what do they struggle with, and what can we hold them accountable for the next week, because holding people accountable for the things they say they're going to do is what actually moves the needle and helps them move forward. So huge wins for everyone there. This year, personally, I got my Navy retirement approved. For those that don't know, I've served 21 years in the United States Navy, 11 years enlisted, and now 10 years commissioned. I have had enough. My wife wants me back full time, and I agreed. So I applied to retire, and that's been approved. March 1st, 2022 is going to be my last official day in the Navy. Very excited to move on with the next phase of my life and start doing podcasting full time. As part of my transition, well, not a part of the transition, but I got approved for lieutenant commander. I got selected to the next higher grade, which is 04 for the Navy. And those of you in the military world, that would be the equivalent of a field grade officer. Very honored to get selected for that new rank. Unfortunately, that wasn't the best option for my family and I had to decline that moving forward. But I did get selected for SkillBridge. Those of you not familiar with SkillBridge is a program for active duty military members to transition into kind of an internship to work with someone in industry and get the skills you need in order to be successful on the outside. Through hosting the Veteran Podcast Awards, I got the chance to meet Michael Hinkle, who won Business Podcast of the Year, Navy Podcast of the Year, and Military Podcast of the Year as co-host with Serena, and Diapers and Deployments Podcast. Who had it worse, the guys that were deploying or the gals staying home changing the diapers? Who had it worst? Fantastic podcast. Anyway, they brought me on to Skill Mill to be an intern to help them with their marketing and whatnot. So excited to be part of the Skill Mill family. Thank you, Michael, for helping me get that approved. October was a busy month. Not only did I host the Veteran Podcast Awards, but a shout out to Beth Shaw and the team at Miss Crossroads, Oklahoma committee. They brought me on to MC in person Miss Crossroads, Oklahoma, and Miss Crossroads Outstanding Teen, Oklahoma. And those of you that are not familiar, the pageant world has turned into a scholarship competition. The bikini contest has gone. They added a fitness portion. But these gals, very dedicated, working on their public speaking, standing up for what they believe in, and are competing. You have to win a feeder competition like Miss Crossroads, Oklahoma, to be eligible to compete for Miss Oklahoma. So very excited to be a part of that. Thank you again, Beth Shaw and the team at Miss Crossroads, for thinking of me. A little bit more of my accomplishments this year. I finished up at the University of Oklahoma and got my master's degree in human relations. I guess that means I'm now allowed to relate to humans. I'm not exactly sure what that means. They focus mostly on organizations, counseling, and social justice. So really got to expand my mind, see some different sides of these arguments, and really dive into the human relations program of study at the University of Oklahoma. Thank you so much for allowing me to finish up there. Very honored to have 2 degrees on my wall with your name on it. I also got to officiate a wedding for my friends Daniel and Tiffany Jones. That was very exciting. We went out to Vegas for a week and did his bachelor party. I use that term loosely because we really just hung out, played cards, and got to go eat together and do some fun things. But I also got the chance to meet 2 of my guests that I had never met in person because I interviewed them when I was stationed in the Kingdom of Bahrain. I got the chance to meet Dave Berlin, who runs Y Networking, and he is the head of Bunker Labs in Las Vegas. Had a great time meeting up with Dave. If you haven't checked him out, he's always doing something new. Love Dave. Huge shout out to Dave. And then I got to hang out with Phil Randazzo. Both of these former guests of mine, you can check them out, nonprofitarchitect.org, either in the podcast section or under the blog section. Scroll down. Phil Randazzo is doing amazing things with American Dream U. He brings on celebrities, athletes, CEOs, people like Craig Hanley, who's an amazing CEO, Tim Kennedy, who's an MMA fighter, and I think he had Matt McConaughey, who's an actor, and he brings them to military installations, runs them through some military type training, and then the next day they get the chance to speak to all the military members. Had a great time meeting Phil and Dave in person in Vegas, and then we also got the chance to drive race cars at the Vegas Motor Speedway. Got to drive a C8 Corvette, the new supercar mid-engine Corvette, and a McLaren. And my buddy Daniel got to drive the Aston Martin Vanquish and the Audi R8. We just had an absolute blast, fun time this year. And I was also honored this year to get to host some recurring groups, the Old Man Accountability Group. If you want more information on that one, let me know. The Warrior Council, which are veteran entrepreneurs, they are all part of the Vetpreneur Tribe on Facebook, and then it's a paid monthly group to be part of the Warrior Council. And then I got a chance to be part of the Bellwether Alliance, which is just absolutely amazing. But we're just finishing up that time between Christmas and New Year's, kind of that void in everyone's life where they don't know what day it is. They just full of cheese and just returned from Christmas to South Padre Island. We went down and spent Christmas with my dad and stepmom this year. Got a chance to take my son out deep sea fishing with my dad, did some shopping and with my wife. They've got all that great Mexican art and pottery and whatnot, and just got to hang around with the family. The last shout out I want to make is to my wife, Megan, for being so gracious and so understanding and so encouraging for all the things that I've had to do, A, throughout my military career, B, throughout podcasting and the things that I'm doing in business. I really couldn't have done it without you. I definitely want to appreciate that. Make sure I get that recorded, make sure it's official so everyone knows that Megan is the reason I'm able to get all this stuff done. For our 2021 top 10, we have number 10, Preston Cone. Facebook ads, email copy, and secrets behind the Google ad grant came in at number 10. I recorded this in 2020, but he still got more than 300 downloads this year, bringing him in at number 10. Number 9, we have Dee Dee Kiso and her 6-figure fundraising framework. She walks through exactly the things that she does in order to make sure that every event she does pulls in more than 6 figures. If you're not sure how to do that as a nonprofit, or if you haven't done that yet, listen to that episode with Dee Dee and reach out to her to see if she can work with you to create what you need. Coming at number 8, we have Bruce Rosenthal, How to Create Sponsorships Using Marketing Budgets. Is such a great way to see how people can use co-branded studies to create value all the way around. Very interesting take at sponsorships. Coming at number 7, also not recorded last year, was How to Contact Celebrities with Vincent James. If you haven't heard this, he's got Julie Andrews, Jack Black, Vanessa Williams, Bernie Wimp, all to help him with his nonprofit, Keep Music Alive. If you've got the Ultimate Podcast Guide, there's a whole section in there breaking down exactly how he does it. And he allowed me to share the email template he used to reach out to celebrities directly. Please check that out, How to Contact Celebrities with Vincent James. Coming at number 6, podcast of the year, Callie Dunn from Ann Fund. Ann Fund is an amazing group. They not only help nonprofits do it better, but they actually give them grants, money in their pocket to do the things that they talk about. Check out Callie Dunn, Fundraising Insights from the Pros at Ann Fund. Tied with her, they both had 401 downloads. Number 5, Mark Bowers, How to Know If You're Making an Impact. Mark is a Navy veteran like myself, and he walks through how to actually determine if the things that you're doing as a nonprofit are really making the impact that you're trying to create. Check out Mark Bowers. Number 4, Alec Green, Nonprofit Ready. If you don't know about Nonprofit Ready is a website full of courses that are free to take. All the courses there are free. You want to go and learn about anything nonprofit related, there's a course there created for you that you can click through on your own pace. And it's interesting because I finished the course and I completed the little feedback survey. I'm a huge fan of feedback. I don't think we can get better unless we understand what we're doing right, what we could do better at, and how we can move that forward. Well, he sent me back an email and I replied to it. And from there, he replied directly to it. Alec Green reached out and we set this up and we recorded an episode about Nonprofit Ready. Check that out. It dropped February 23rd, 2021. Amazing story. Coming in at number 3, our top 3 are just absolutely amazing. Sarah Jean Knox, Help Your Donors Be a Hero. She does nonprofit auctioneering, and she's able to create some events and create experiences that just knock your socks off. Absolutely phenomenal, Sarah Jean Knox. Coming in at number 2, Tamisha Sales and Conviction in Your Mission. This is one of those episodes that just really sticks with you. Everything that she talks about and working through all of the details and all the roadblocks and everything they had to deal with, Tamisha Sales does a great job of laying out how to be convicted in your mission and continue that. It's just great. Check it out, Tamisha Sales. And our number 1, drumroll please, podcast of the year, Mark Buzan, How to Jumpstart Your Board of Directors. Mark does a lot of work with boards of all shapes and sizes. He actually put together a conference specifically for board members. Out of all the things that we deal with in the nonprofit world, I shouldn't say deal with, but working with a board of directors, there's all these different personalities, there's different levels of experience, there's different understandings about what the board's role is. If everyone's not on the same page, it is really hard to get to where you're going. I don't know if you've seen this thing at a summer picnic where you put like 20 people in a clump and you tie a big rope around them, and then you try to get that group of people from one part of the park to another part of the park without them falling down. It is dang near impossible. You have to be going the same direction if you want to accomplish your mission. But Mark Buzan lays out an easy to follow framework for you to jumpstart your board of directors, get them all on the same page and working towards the same goals. That is our top 10 of 2021. Check out all these great shows and more. We have more than 100 published episodes. Very excited for all of this stuff. If we're looking forward into 2022, I want to let you all know what's on tap. First and foremost, that course that we've created at Forbes is going to be available before you know it, and we'll be able to, no kidding, log on, take the course, and get college credit for taking a podcasting course. How great is that? You get to hear my beautiful voice teach you how to do all of the stuff and walk you through it step by step. There'll be an offer in there to join the Podcast Architect group, where you can go and get your questions answered directly from me and from other professional podcasters that are getting it done in this space. Now, if you want to be a part of the group, but you don't want to take the class, let me know. Shoot me an email at nonprofitarchitect@gmail.com with the title Podcast Architect, and I will get you the details on how to join that. We're also looking at adding extra episodes in 2022. We're going to be talking about things like takeaways from an episode. So we're getting ready to put out our episode with Kurian Thakkaran, and he talks about the 7 essential stories that people tell. I'm going to be going through that and dissecting it and giving you somewhere between 2 and 10 minutes of a direct kind of, this is what we talked about. These are the takeaways from the episode. Some people don't have time to listen to the full episode, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I still want you to get the information you need to be successful. I'm also going to be doing just a one-off, like I'm doing today, about leadership and mindset. I'm going to be talking about podcasting tips. I'm going to be analyzing some of the books that I've read in the nonprofit world, doing policy walkthroughs of the policies that you need to have. And I want to hear from you. Shoot me an email titled podcast ideas to nonprofitarchitect@gmail.com so I can make sure that I'm answering the questions that you have. As always, if you want to connect with me, go on Linktree, linktr.ee/nonprofitarchitect. Find out whatever social media I'm on. Connect with me on your favorite social media. Shoot me a message. I want to hear from you. The only way we get things done, that we grow, that we move forward, is if we hear about what you need. I've spoken about many times about the things that I need, the things that I want to do moving forward. And I want to hear directly from you. If you're struggling out there, if you're trying to get something done, if you want to collaborate, if you want to get advertising on my website or the podcast or anything else, reach out to me so we can figure out a way to make it work and make it move forward. It might be a collaboration. It might be something we can create together. It might be you being a guest on the show or me being a guest on your show. It might be a simple question that you ask it in the group. We have a group on Facebook, facebook.com/group/nonprofitarchitect. Ask the question, get the answer. Let's get you moving forward. Don't sit in your struggle and your pain. All the things that you're struggling with have all been answered before. I've struggled with it. Other people in the podcast industry have struggled with it. People in the nonprofit industry have struggled with it. Let's get your questions answered so you can move forward and have the best 2022 that you want to have. As always, I'm so excited and so thankful for each and every one of you. Reach out, check out all this stuff at nonprofitarchitect.org. There's a contact page at the bottom of every single page on our show. If you want to Send me a message. Scroll into that contact form. You can't remember my email. Scroll down there, drop me a message, drop me a line. I want to hear from you. Thank you so much for a fantastic and fabulous 2021. I can't wait to see what we build in 2022. Thank you.